Number 1. Number 3.
Number 3. So this evening, we have a presentation, a STEAM update from the principal, Brian Daniels of the Whitcomb School. He was to be joined this evening by Director of STEM, Dan Riley, but something came up in his family and he was not able to join us. You'll recall at the school committee workshop we had a few weeks back with Tony Bent, we decided, or you asked if we could have an update on the STEAM, full steam ahead at the middle school, and that is the reason for this presentation. So without further ado, we'll call up Mr. Principal Daniels.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to start to close out the summer, I guess, with you. Before I start to talk directly about STEAM and Whitcomb plans, a little introduction about the way we might expand our thinking about STEAM and what middle school students do. And if you will humor me for a few moments, I'd like to share a story. Do I need to stay in the microphone? Because
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right. Well, then I will unfortunately not be able to approach. I had full plans to bring a carpet so we could gather on the reading rug. Ms. Grulish had concerns about how that may be greeted. Most importantly, about how we might recover from sitting on the reading rug. But that aside, envision a reading rug, and in readers and writers workshop, often children's stories are used as a way to develop thinking, project-based thinking, to connect all of the dots in a single story and then give you a reference point. What do you do with an idea is a reference point that we will use at Whitcomb this year. My plan is in the first, probably take about a week and a half to be able to get to every single class, so individual classrooms, to read the story with the students, depending on age, to adapt it as necessary, and to be thinking about the importance of thinking. STEAM, for us, first and foremost has to be about the way that we think about learning and thinking and connecting. And then all those other dots fall into that giant framework. So please join me. What do you do with an idea? One day I had an idea. Where did it come from? Why is it here? I wondered, what do you do with an idea? At first, I didn't think much of it. It seemed kind of strange and fragile. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just walked away from it. I acted like it didn't belong to me. But it followed me. Oh, I worried what others would think. What would people say about my idea? I kept it to myself. I hid it away, and I didn't talk about it. I tried to act like everything was the same as it was before my idea showed up. But there was something magical about my idea. I had to admit, I felt better and happier when it was around. It wanted food. It wanted to play. Actually, it wanted a lot of attention. It grew bigger, and we became friends. I showed it to other people, even though I was afraid of what they might say. I was afraid that if people saw it, they would laugh at it. I was afraid they would think it was silly, and many of them did. They said it was no good. They said it was too weird. They said it was a waste of time and that it would never become anything. By the way, as long as we're on this page, does anyone notice anything odd about this illustration? Look carefully. What's missing? It's been cut off.
Grown-ups' heads?
The grown-ups' heads. I'm sure the illustrator didn't accidentally chop the piece of paper, leaving the grown-ups' heads behind.
Except for the grandma.
Except for the grandma, which I thought was very interesting. And at first, I believed them. I actually thought about giving up on my idea. I almost listened to them. But then I realized, what do they really know? This is my idea, I thought. No one knows it like I do, and it's okay if it's different and weird and maybe a little crazy. I decided to protect it, to care for it. I fed it good food. I worked with it. I played with it. But most of all, I gave it my attention. My idea grew, and so did my love for it. I built it a new house, one with an open roof where it could look up into the stars, a place where it could be safe to dream. I liked being with my idea. It made me feel more alive, like I could do anything. It encouraged me to think big, and then to think bigger. It shared its secrets with me. It showed me how to walk on my hands because it said, it is good to have the ability to see things differently. I couldn't imagine my life without it. Then, one day, something amazing happened. My idea changed right before my very eyes. It spread its wings, took flight, and burst into the sky. I don't know how to describe it, but it went from being here to being everywhere. It wasn't just a part of me anymore. It was now a part of everything. And then I realized, what do you do with an idea? You change the world. The end. I chose this in relationship to STEAM because it is the idea that matters the most in this entire plan. The idea that we encourage students to own, not to, as the little boy does here at the beginning, walk away from an idea fearful of how others will judge it, afraid to bring it to light, deciding before it's even been visited that it will be declared to be crazy. And I'll read it to teachers as well, with the exact same intent, a slightly different message, but that we have to value student voice. We have to value student struggle. We have to recognize that project-based learning is a messy adventure that doesn't fall out of a preordained textbook one page after another, but instead grows, is fed, carries from year to year, and includes all of our faculties. Those clearly defined content areas, as well as that creative piece, that twist, that when you think about it, it's the twist that changes the world. So my thanks to Yobi Yamada, the author, and illustrator May Bessam. And I hope that together we will be building a thinking system that encourages ideas and thus changes the educational experience of students at Whitcomb as we steam ahead into the new year. So to give you a quick update, and I have a folder full of supporting materials that I'll leave with you afterwards.
No?
Always in a test, it works perfectly. Try again?
Yep.
Okay.
Let me just bring it up again here.
Yep.
Hold on.
There we go. So we actually started the 2016-17 school year in the last week of June with STEAM Week. The ROAR committee came to me and said we would like to create a school-wide lesson plan, every student, every teacher, for 1 hour a day for the last 5 full teaching days. And in this lesson plan, we would not just explain that we're moving towards STEAM, that we have these this new vision, but instead experience it together. That becomes part of the training for faculty as well as students. All teachers, all the core folks were with their homerooms. Everyone else joined a room, so there was at least one adult in every single room. And one of the goals was to rename the teams. And I wanted, we all wanted student voice to be involved in the renaming of the teams as we head off in this new direction. And so the committee put together a 5-day lesson plan that is just amazing. It has a science piece, it has a literature piece, it has an artistic piece, creative, and a poetry piece. So on day one, we talked about, students talked about that STEAM was coming, a very quick explanation. And by the way, all of these lesson plans were delivered to teachers, ready to go, along with all the supporting documents and videos, pictures, projections, etc. And what they chose was, if we're going to be choosing color names for teams, let's explore color. Students brainstormed on the first day questions that they had about color, and the way that they did that was they had a photograph of a woman in a dress with stripes of multiple hues, blue being dominant but not overwhelming. And students talked about what they saw and very quickly realized that they weren't all seeing or describing the exact same thing. And that created a whole set of questions, which was the goal of the day. And the second day, students, so this is student-generated thinking. The student-generated thinking in the second day is the focus of research. So let's go answer the questions that we asked yesterday. And then they started to visualize the impact of color, have broader conversations about why we choose colors, our favorite colors, how it influences mood, etc., which led into the third day, which focused around the impact of color hue on mood, learning, why we choose to paint schoolrooms, for instance, particular colors and not others. In the fourth day, students came back to, and in that second day, there was a deeper scientific part as well. Students came back on the fourth day to experiment with building their own colors. Each one of the grade levels was given a baseline color, but then within that to choose a hue, a particular shade that they would then name for their team. They wrote poetry around the emotions and the feelings and the ideas that they identified while working with different hues in their color, and then finally had to do persuasive writing and then conversation in their team so that they could leave behind a name for their team that they would never have, but the students coming up. So they are leaving a legacy behind. So at the end of that, all of the teachers and students together had experimented with this mindset of expanding thinking outside of the usual silos of going class to class. For a few of the faces of those 5 days. Why don't people agree with the color of the dress? Is a fact a fact a fact? Not when 20 people look at the same dress and can't decide what color it is. The ROAR team made up color samples, hue samples for every one of these rooms, and then students did stations. They would have 4 or 5 different ones to choose from, working in groups of 4 or 5, moving around, and how does this color strike you? What does it remind you of? What does it say to you? What's the emotional impact? Little piece of poetry. Science posters that came out of day 2 and 3. And the faculty, to their great credit, was amazingly supportive, and the support grew as the week went on. One of the 6th grade teams, which is green is the 6th grade color, welcomed their students one morning with this display. As I came around the corner, I was a bit concerned, how did they make the lights green? They put tissue paper over the lights, and all of a sudden we had a whole different effect. The 7th grade hallway was scattered with purple. And these are the names of our teams for the coming year. They will be 1,000 times harder to remember than A, B, and C. They don't carry with them any of the things that go with A, B's, and C's in a school situation. The students will have no trouble remembering what team they're on. I'll just have a hard time remembering what team I'm heading for. And we're already joking between ourselves and the admin team about translating, oh, that used to be ... The hardest part of this change will be for adults, not for students. I went back and forth about sharing this, and decided this is one person's unsolicited response at the end of STEAM Week, and I will read it for folks. I just wanted to let you know that my class really enjoyed STEAM Week. They were engaged, enthusiastic, and really invested in the activities. I will admit that I did not know what to expect, but their thoughts and ideas were amazing. I was so impressed with each activity they did. The fact that their learning from all year was reflected in a few of the activities gave Jess and I a little ego boost as well. My only regret was how crazy the week was and that we felt a bit rushed. We could have gone to much deeper with each activity. Thank you for all the hard work you put into pulling this together. I, for one, thought it was worth it. And this was directed not to me, but to the ROAR team that created the lesson plan for the week. For me, as principal, this is indicative of where we can go and where this faculty is ready to go with thinking and preparation and collegial work. This is a stunning example of the power of collegial planning and collaborative learning around in a mindset of project-based learning. So on to some of the more practical. The schedule is ready and being printed and will be mailed later this week. Doesn't look from the boxes terribly different than last year, but we have accomplished all of the things that we talked about in the spring. We have instructional periods that are just under an hour, 58 minutes. We have created common meeting time, that's district-directed meeting time for teachers 5 out of 7 days. Every teacher has the contractually required prep. Every teacher has contractually required lunch period. Students move 1 less time per day, so there are 6 changes during the day rather than 7, so that's time on learning. Even though it's only 2 or 3 minutes, when you multiply by 7, it's 20. And now we're halfway through one of our older traditional periods. Great cooperation from the special ed department and assistance and support from John Fletcher and the team chairs in rewriting IEPs as necessary. A model that's pushing special education instruction back into the classroom with the experts, so that the math teacher is doing math instruction. The special educator then has within, because we have these hour instructional periods, enough time to reinforce, but the special educator will be in the classroom with those students to be part of the material presentation that would begin the period, and then they can pull out or adapt as necessary depending on the particular lesson of the day, and assist all students. A mindset that every adult in the room is there to work with every student in the room. The grades 5 and 6 will have an opportunity for an enrichment block that shows up a couple times in each cycle, and that will give our specialists an opportunity to create mini courses. So within music, within art, world language, they will be able to offer short courses in something that they have a particular interest in, and then we will assign students based on their particular needs. So the students won't be waiting to ask for help during these times, but instead will be assigned somewhere in an MTSS model. So students are getting the support that they need, or the acceleration or alternative opportunity. Music has the plan to create a performance track, has also been successful, and hats off to Wayne Lave and Bethany Pritchard with the cooperation of Jonathan and Will in creating a flexible thinking system that allowed us to merge all of those instructional periods that are in music, PE, and health, and not treat them as separate blocks. So they flow back and forth as necessary. So a student has the opportunity to take full band program, 2 days, a full chorus program, 2 days, and then also receive their PE and health instruction. Enrollment in the performance track has exceeded our expectations and exceeded our numbers last year. I believe the last number I heard was 105 fifth graders in fifth grade band. I thought 90 was staggering, but we're at 105. Students who have chosen general music will have a targeted course just towards general music, where before we were assigning general music to all students, no matter what their interest in. So now the general music teacher can create something that is focused on those particular students' needs. I found a little article in Edutopia, and it talked about starting a STEAM program. What do you need? And the first thing that they said is, you need to support collaboration. This schedule supports that. Every teacher will have an opportunity in a cycle to meet with the other teachers at their grade level, with their grade level leader. We've had grade level leaders for a year, but never had an opportunity for them to actually see the entire grade level at the same time. So they were repeating that 3 times, and of course, the message isn't the same all the time. Every teacher will have an opportunity to meet with their academic area within the cycle, so that the supervisors, directors will be able to work with math, exclusively with math teachers across a grade level with that curriculum. All of this time, by the way, is district assigned. It's not, it'll be in the teacher schedule that on B day in the 3rd block, this is what's happening. We're setting up Google Forms for all of these PLCs, nice and simple, nothing burdensome. Agenda, item 1, 2, 3, what was discussed, action items. You pop it into Google Drive, everybody, totally transparent, everyone has access, so we're not reinventing the wheel all the time. And the administrative team is committed to going into those PLCs on a regular basis, not every single one, but as a participant, not there to check up on folks. And part of our training program will be using that. There'll be a STEAM PLC block within those 5 meeting times, and that will become part of the is part of the training program as well. And that's where our in-house experts, the folks who have already had the STEM experience, will have, without any special assignments or having to create outside training, will be able to share their expertise and experience with the rest of the team. Also, during the summer, there has been quite a bit of curriculum work in the area of math that Dan has set up. I actually spent some time with Dr. Andrew Chen, who did a training course for our teachers earlier in the year, and discussing, that was today, discussing the results of that and what we can do in the future, and talk to him about this expansion of our thinking around STEM. He had some great direction to add and to bring math class, the new frameworks, talk about word problems. We spent 3 hours today solving just 3 problems. And that was one of the interesting conversations that we had, and how those math problems need to spill outside of the math classroom. Math in particular has had a much harder time connecting across curricular areas. So this gives us an opportunity, again, because of the common planning time, to do more of that. The addition of Tom Plyatt, which wasn't something that I completely understood when we started to talk about STEAM, because I hadn't met Tom yet, who's quite a personality and brings an amazing amount of expertise. Extensive conversations with him about how our technology instructional specialist will have an impact on STEAM thinking, again, carrying ideas from grade level to grade level and across teams. Tom's expertise around the hardware has been enormously helpful. And while I had no plan earlier in the spring to really do a focus on a Chromebook restart, with his addition and the addition of a highly talented specialist that we've just hired, I think we are in a position to bring the Chromebooks much more to life, and we'll have Chromebooks in carts for 5th and 6th graders, who will be guaranteed that they will have access every day. And that changes the thinking when you are looking at project-based learning. We hired with STEAM in mind. For instance, one of the new 2 computer teachers, her original degree is as a graphic artist. She went to Pratt and practiced. That's a mindset that she now brings to a computer instruction classroom. The young woman who has agreed to take the music assignment for the general music, in the interview, I literally said to her halfway through, you need to just relax, because you're hitting a home run and we are so much on the exact same page. But what she talked about was, I want to be a general music teacher. I'll do the band and help with that, and I can, but I want to excite kids about the language of music and how it might be applied across the entire curriculum. So another great example of that kind of thinking, of new folks coming in. The other computer teacher that we've hired has enormous experience doing projects that have connected schools around the world. So we have I think a very exciting group of folks coming in. And embracing cooperative learning. The faculty proved to itself in that June week that they could do this together, that they've already done it together. We've provided the framework, the time, directed time for them to do the planning and the execution to make that happen. That was a great part of the STEM program, that those STEM teachers had time, and we were completely flexible in how they rescheduled that time. Within the 5 teachers, if it, for instance, was a project week, they would focus on projects. Now the entire school will be able to do that, and the STEM teachers had the planning time to do that. Now all the teachers will have the planning time to do that. Let's see, and I forgot to push buttons. Someone should have been.
I did.
You did? Oh, thank you. Okay. So, sitting with Bethany and Rick for a little bit this afternoon, we went down the list. Check, check, check. We're ready to go. We're waxing the last floors. We had team chairs go to the scheduling workshop in April off-site. We had EL teacher go and represent the EL department off-site. I don't carry the history that they carry, but their feeling is that we have a schedule that is more carefully and completely ready to roll. We did get it out to faculty members before they left. It did run in 2 weeks longer than I had hoped, but we made it by the last day. So as we hang at the edge of this new school year, we feel like we're very much ready. Ready to embark in what will be a process, not a moment. This is a rebuilding, redirecting, thinking, and it will continue to be redirected as we get more data and as our circumstances, as our demographics change, as we are able to access new materials, as we see what especially technology specialists and director bring to the table, and what having the Chromebooks available and ready to go and in students' hands on a daily basis, how that changes instruction and allows us to more carefully tailor student to student.
Questions from the committee? Any questions from the committee? Ms. Hennessy?
I would love to be able to see the schedule, because I can't really take much in from that far away.
Oh, not a problem. There's a
Or
copy.
totally grasp all of it from.
There we go. These are, this is a sample where every student is not running the same schedule in school. It's the schedule that we have discussed, a 7 period with a drop 1 that cascades like the former schedule did, so the students don't have the same class at the same time of day.
Questions about the schedule?
I have just a clarifying question. Can you just tell me what the enrichment class is? Is that?
The enrichment piece is that block that I mentioned that will include some special education services, some EL services, and offerings by the specialists, alternative offerings by the specialists, and then students directed to, within their team, the core teacher with whom they should spend the most time. It may be an enrichment piece, or it may be a review, depending on students' needs. And that will be reconsidered at least 3 times a year. Our goal is to go to a 6 to 8 week model, but going in, we're looking at trying to do that 3 times a year this year and see how well we can do with that. Building the data format to make these decisions, and then finding ways to get that out there and support teachers. Also, and seeing how much the team itself is able to do that.
Quick question, the attendance and the advisory, those are just the homeroom, beginning a day, end a day?
Yeah.
How much time is allotted for those?
Well, the morning is an interesting start. The way that the contract works is that teachers are responsible for students at 7:50, and the faculty took full responsibility, was excellent in that area. but students are not responsible to be in homeroom until 8:05. So as students arrive, that takes care of picking up breakfast, a place to eat, checking in. Teachers offer homework help, meeting groups, and then at 8:05, students' announcements start, and 5 minutes later, they are on their way to first class.
So 8:10 is the start of period one?
Any other questions? Any other questions? Hennessy.
Maybe it's in here and I haven't found it yet, but I thought we were going to have some form of introduction of world language at the younger grades, or no? Are we?
No.
At sixth
Unfortunately, we weren't able to maintain that.
So when do they start?
Seventh grade.
Same
they
as it
did
is
this
now.
year. Yep.
What we were able to do, though, was in the past, the schedule didn't allow for students who had a unsuccessful experience in 7th grade with a language were redirected into some alternative in 8th grade, recommended not to carry on, basically. And so they had a break in their world language instruction before they went to high school, because there wasn't a place to nurture them. The students who are not recommended for our second half of level 1 will now be able to be integrated so 8th graders will be able to be integrated into 7th grade classrooms, and while it would be somewhat repetitive, they haven't been successful, they will be assigned to, not to the same, but to the other teacher in that language, so that they won't have a break before they get to high school. They won't be ready for level 2, but they wouldn't have been ready for level 2 anyway, but they'll be much better prepared to be successful in level 1 when they get to high school.
This may be a question more for the superintendent than for Brian, though, but in that, is the high school prepared to handle more level 1s at 9th grade than they have been?
Yes. Yes.
And this actually shouldn't create more, it should create better prepared level 1s. Because those students who would have been put in a break would have been in level 1 anyway, but they wouldn't have had any world language instruction in the prior year.
And those changes will take place in the spring when we look at numbers coming up, and the head of the department with the principal will shift who will teach what based on need. So the preparation, there's always that articulation. That's a great question, though.
Other question, Mrs. Hennessy.
Sorry, still on the world language piece. Are they able to make selections of their languages, or is it Mandarin?
No, everyone's able to make selections of their languages.
Okay, and the selections are going to be Mandarin, Spanish,
In Latin,
Latin.
Latin? Okay, just to make sure.
yes.
Yep.
So if a student is unsuccessful in the language in 7th grade, could they switch to a different language in 8th grade, or they have to retake the one
No,
that they started?
now we would be able to offer them that. We're going to counsel against that. What the research says is that learning a language is learning a language, and that the sense of, well, Spanish didn't go well, but this will, really doesn't turn out to be true, and then students are continuously starting over. So, but we would be able to, in this schedule, able to do that, which we were not able to do in prior schedule.
Anything else?
I guess I would just ask that we reserve the right for coming back with some questions, since we've only just gotten all the information and had no time to prepare, so.
Yeah, absolutely. We probably, if required, we'll ask to add it onto an agenda later on in the year.
Thank you, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Brian.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Minutes of the June 28th, 2016 meeting.
Motion to approve as presented.
Motion made, seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Minutes of the July 11th, 2016 meeting.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Action items, personnel update.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to give a personnel update again at this school committee meeting. I've handed out an update of where we are with hiring, and that was done on the 10th. As of the 15th, we are down to even fewer open positions. I'm only counting 3 classroom positions at this point in the district that are open. We have some other support positions that are still open due to some transfers within the district. So we are very, very close to being fully staffed for the beginning of the year. And I wasn't able to go down to HR and look at any new hire packets. When I do that tomorrow, I feel pretty confident we'll be even closer. So that is where we are right now. The green for you, just so you recognize on your personnel sheet, the green is an open position. The yellow is kind of like an open but pending position. There might be some discussion that needs to go behind it, or the person is still working for us. And orange is hold only due to student services. So for example, we may not need the position based on the number of IEPs in the system, and that's something that's still being determined by the special ed office. So right now we're looking pretty good, and hopefully by the end of this week we will have a full staff roster and no issues going forward. I think we're still going to have some open positions with some support staff, but as we saw last year, we had open positions all year with support staff. We had quite a turnover. So we'll probably start the year at the same thing with a couple open positions. In addition, I just wanted to provide a report on a system that the business office has been working on for quite some time. Since right after winter, we started working on position control, and I've provided a report to the school committee of the behavior technician unit using position control, and these are canned reports from Munis. There's no manpower needed to do these. They're absolutely just sitting within the system, and we can just print them at will. And I really like the way that this can give additional support and information to the school committee by showing them the number of positions we have in each building, showing them the vacancies, and it really helps for budget time for us to look at what the staffing levels are for each unit. So I will be producing these for each unit as the year goes on, and the hope is that when we're looking at the budget document, this is, I mean, when we really look at the budget document, 82% of our costs are salary. So this is a majority of all of our costs right in these reports. So it's been something we're working on for quite a while. This one I feel very confident about. It's fully up to date. And you do see some vacancies there. The nice thing is we don't have to keep any separate databases or Excel spreadsheets or anything like that to maintain our human resources staffing list now. So we're pretty pleased with that right now. And that's my report. I don't know if there's any questions I can answer from the committee.
Questions on the report? Ms. Bodenhender.
HR director.
Has been hired, and we will make
No,
formal.
that doesn't say director.
Oh, they didn't change the title.
You didn't change the title on here.
That's my fault.
Okay.
I'll update it right
So I
now.
just want to make sure that,
Oh, the title, not
that it's not, that the
That is the
position that
position.
was hired was in
It was the whole
fact
point.
the
Director.
new
Yes,
position. Thank you.
sorry.
That's okay.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Policy review, Ms. Hennessy.
Thank you very much. So you're being provided with a number of policies that we have reviewed in our subcommittee, and we are moving these forward for our first read for you all. I believe with the resignation policy, you do have strikeouts and additions noted in there. If you have any questions, it would be helpful to, let me know kind of separately so I can make sure I'm prepared next week or next time we meet for better discussion. That would be helpful. So you should have the resignation policy relative to the athletic transportation fee policy. Since we had made an adaptation for our budget, we wanted to make sure that the policy also was in line. So that's been revised. The implementation of the athletic transportation fee was another one that we needed to have on there. And if you all remember from some of our discussions, when the state had moved forward on needing to have something around opioid policy. So we have kind of broadened it, if you will, and taken it in as a substance use prevention and abuse. So it kind of covers a lot more than just strictly opioid. And if you all will remember, Mr. Walter had brought forth a concern about a public relations policy that we had that was out of date. And we did review that, and it's provided for you with some adaptations.
Can I ask questions now?
You can ask a question. I don't want to get into the edits and everything.
No, but
That's-
if I ask the questions now and then the answers can come forward. Okay. So starting with the first one, resignation. This is more of a combination. I mean, there's no HR person here, but superintendent and finance. 20 working day notice? That just seems, I don't know, that seems like a humongous amount of time.
If I can speak to that, that actually was something that we discussed. It is something that had been previously in the policy, and we did discuss that with Mr. Langlois before he had left, to make sure actually we were all on the same page, and that was part of, like, I guess the.
I mean, that's a month notice. I don't know. I just think that's an awful lot of time.
If it goes the other way, it's 6 months. We're letting someone go, it costs us a fortune. Wish we could get away with paying for a month.
Well, I mean, you're talking about transitioning with, especially if it's a teaching position.
I understand. I just thought
I
it
had
was
to give 2 months for mine.
okay. That was, so we shouldn't be discussing, that's right. On the transportation fee, I understand the notation, but I guess I'm more concerned with it actually even being there. Because first of all, it talks about when it was established in 2000, it was to defray the transportation cost, and it does say that we would discuss it annually. But I guess it's one of those, like, I know, like, it's a placeholder, so you can keep it there and say, but does it have to be the placeholder? Because if we were to reenact it, we'd rewrite the entire thing again.
True. I think, that's one of the reasons why we put in the information as to when we removed it from the budget, because I think at that point, there was a feeling when we had the budget discussion that,
But I'm saying if we rewrote it, we would strike everything that was there and just say, starting 2000 whatever, these are the fees, boom, we wouldn't be reflecting back on what it was.
True. Our history, though, of reviewing policies on a very regular basis is
Well,
not
no,
really great.
but we've all talked about that there's probably 10 that need to be evaluated annually,
Yeah.
and those 10 should be just notated that we have to do them by June each year. So this would be one of those because it's a budgetary tie-in. So, again, which goes with the implementation one, because if you don't have one, you don't need the other. The substance abuse, there is a part here, and again, no answer right now, but it says parents or guardians of a
Can you give-
pupil, sorry,
Paragraph?
well, under verbal screening.
Okay.
It says, screenings will occur on an annual basis and occur at 2 different grade levels as recommended, and that parents will be notified. So I guess in writing, prior to the start of the school year, which, does that mean it's going to go in the packet that we send out to parents every start of the school year that has this? What grades are going to be affected, and the information regarding how they can opt out, because it says they have to give written notice, but you have to tell them that they have to give written notice. And then, what does de-identified screening results mean? What is a de-identified?
So, on this, we are stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Because the state wrote this.
The state has basically mandated that we must, before the beginning of the school year, have a policy on the opioid issue in place. Yet they have not provided us with any kind of a templated policy. They have sent through MASC specifics, which all of these specifics are in here, that they have outlined, yet not given any substance.
Oh, so we don't know what the meaning of de-identified is.
De-identified just means that they're blacked out. The names are
So
redacted.
wouldn't redacted be a better word then?
We were just-
Redacted screening results?
This
Because
was-
I have no idea what,
This
This is literally verbatim for what they
It's-
provided us
yeah.
and put
This is-
together, that we
it's-
then put in front of the attorneys to confirm that it was following the state guidelines to what we know
de-identified is
right
taking
now.
the identity away.
Correct.
Okay.
It's redacted.
So,
And we're going to wind up probably having to change this once they come out with the advisory that tells us what needs to be in it. But what we know needs to be in it is
in
embedded
it.
here.
I mean, I know, like we send out annually the MCAS result, that, and that whole notification of the thing. So, but the way they're saying it's gonna have to be prior to the start of a school year, which we never really do, you know,
Well,
there's
you
sometimes.
can't do it the first year. If you send it out at the end of the year, then you could get it back in time for the next year. But there's always going to have to be the first year that it starts.
Well, notification, though, is supposed to be prior to a start of a school year. So this year, you're probably waived out of it because of the fact that they're
It's
just
the first-
enacting it. But, okay. And that was my only questions. That was it. So, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll leave these on the table until the next regularly scheduled meeting.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Approval of the new communications liaison job description.
Thank you. With the acceptance of the September 30th resignation of the current communication liaison, we've taken the opportunity to discuss among the executive directors and myself this specific role, and we've decided to seek approval for the expansion of the roles and responsibilities as indicated by the job description. So let me begin by saying the title of the position would be then changed to School and Community Communications Coordinator, because the two major areas that are changed would be under performance responsibilities, 1, 2, 3, the fourth and the fifth bullet, essentially overseeing the operations of the Registration and Parent Outreach Center and overseeing the operation of translation services in the district and the management of the translation staff. This is currently being done by the EL director, and in among all of the other responsibilities in that person's overview, it doesn't seem to be quite fair, and to me, actually, it seems like a civil rights violation that we're putting that person over a registration and parent center. It's not just for EL students, it's for the general population, anyone who registers. So that being said, I have sat and spoken with the current communications liaison about the role that she actually performs against the backdrop of the original job description back under Superintendent Pope, and that has really morphed into many things based on her skill set and based on needs. Frankly, she has done, there's a great laundry list of things that she has done that didn't fall neatly into any other category. So we're looking to expand, to increase the range of salary slightly, depending on the expertise and experience of the person that we would designate after sufficient interviewing. Happy to answer any questions that you have about this.
Questions from the committee? Ms. Matthews?
Under qualifications, you brought up the issue with the translation, has there been any,
Preferred.
well, speaking another language would be a nice addition to that. Not a mandatory, but it would be.
That is correct. I think it will be important if we ever look to rehire a person in the translation department. But
But if you're managing a group of people,
You're managing the translators and you're managing the operation and the process. You're not necessarily interfacing with the public every single day.
but I guess an evaluation piece, part of it would be how, I always.
Accurate are the translations.
Right, I've always wondered, when you see somebody translating, are they really translating? What are they really saying? And then the other, I don't know, these are redundant bullets, but the second bullet, update the manage the administration and content of the district's website, number 3, and number,
Administer MPS website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
are those are the same, aren't they? Or should it be administer, because I guess the question becomes also, and this is, we have a lot of people touching the website currently. And so in my eyes, this person still has to have control of that. And has to also, besides the outreach center, those people, managing of those people, the IT people that are touching the website, and the quality and what we want on the website have to be maintained by this person.
I don't think IT touches the website so much as other people in schools update things, certain office support, Chris Randall say, and we will be presenting a migration proposal. School Fusion, as we know it, will be shutting down in the future. And the current communications liaison has attended a conference in Chicago and has made recommendation to us with respect to the migration to school wires. So this person who will take over this role will very much have oversight of who controls what pieces of that website. But IT is not.
Well, I was using IT in the wrong way. More of the people who, what's the position? What's it called? The ITSs, more the teachers, the ones that are doing, and the principals are doing stuff, building-based,
Yes.
and their secretaries.
Yes.
But just to maintaining appearances. I'm sure for the city site, there's certain rules that are adhered to about what can go up, how it can go up, right? So it's, and I see this person having that.
Would have oversight of who would have administrative access or rights to certain areas of the website. Absolutely. And that's currently what she does. She spends a lot of time in the background, updating things and avoiding redundant areas on the website. I can give you more specifics, but.
I also think, this is my own little 2 cents, and I know it says in here, assist staff and administration in creating communication and positive communication opportunities. I know most of our administrators were former teachers, but former teachers don't always know how to write, and sometimes need to be reminded how to write a letter. Or.
Agreed.
So I think that's an important role.
So am I hearing that we could look at a tighter way to take the third bullet and the one that starts with administer MPS, maybe merge those two in a tighter way? Okay, so that's not substantive?
No.
Okay, we can do that. And am I also hearing knowledge, bilingual, preferred? Doesn't hurt too.
I think that would be great.
Or encourage, yeah.
Okay.
I think we have a population enough that would be.
Yeah, would be great.
Sure.
Mine's a little cheeky, but the title doesn't roll off the tongue as easily when making those "there's no school today" calls, because that catchphrase, "Good morning, Marlborough families. This is communications liaison Beth Wagner," just flows so nicely. I fear our new candidate may get a little tripped up by
School and
communications coordinator.
So some of the
teasing.
rationale, we need to be,
Yeah, no,
it's non-affiliated, so to use the term director, would not be the right thing. Liaison has with it the notion of we want to raise, right, we want to raise this more to, a status of someone who's doing more than liaising between groups, but that someone who is
I was being-
coordinating. But
I
thank
was
you
just
for the,
being
I agree, and we welcome any suggestions.
Well, and the new person will create their own way of presenting themselves.
Other questions? Hennessy?
The only thing I'm trying to kind of
You're gonna have to
find in here, which I think you just were saying when you were talking to Ms. Matthews, but yet I'm not sure I'm finding like the bullet point of really overseeing that each building really is being consistent with their voice. And
I think it's the first bullet on the second page of it.
assist staff.
That's kind of how I.
Yeah,
Well,
assist staff.
that's what I'm
and-
trying, that's why I'm saying
Yeah,
it's
like
kind of
CDJ
in there,
needs
but
to be in
kind of
there.
not. And I think to the point of some of the discussions we have had over, say, the last year.
Yes.
About making sure that there really is maintenance of information that is current.
Consistent and current.
Would be appropriate. And so I'm hoping that this person is going to help our administrators on making sure that like daily notes are actually daily notes, that they are up there. Because if we're trying to encourage our parents to use the website and they go up and it's a month old, we're really not helping communications. We're stifling any opportunity of really encouraging people to do that.
And in that case, Catherine, there is a person in that building assigned, or in buildings assigned to that task. This person wouldn't necessarily spend every day updating the daily announcements.
No, but they
No,
can
I'm
make the phone call to that
hoping that they would be a
person.
taskmaster to go in and double check and go, ha ha, I think
Right.
you forgot something. Can you get that up there?
And I think we're all, all of the comments we're making only serve to underscore the need to really intentionalize that this is such a crucial position.
It's a
very-
We are very, very blessed to have this position, and we don't want to lose it. With Beth leaving, this is an incredibly important position.
It's massively important, and if we are encouraging use of Aspen and our website as being one of our forms of communication, we need to make sure it's consistently updated and full, chock full of important information.
Appreciate it.
May I
Other
just add one thing? I'm pleased to hear that school wires is something that we're looking at, because just tonight, earlier in our meeting, I happened to be on the Framingham website, who has transferred to school wires. Much more engaging look to it, so I think some all around changes coming down the line will be good.
Thank you.
Good,
Any
thanks.
other questions?
Move to approve.
Yeah, I
the
just
job
wanted to, again, bring that, I'm just having trouble seeing the relationship between the communication person and the registration person, overseeing school registration.
That's our first communication.
I'm an outsider looking in, you've done this before, so I'm just having trouble seeing the relationship. But other than that, I'm good. Any other questions? Seeing none, motion made and seconded to approve. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you. Discussion on school committee secretary.
Okay, folks. We really need to move on this. Mr. Bergeron has supported that we do have the money identified in the budget for this. And we know that our friend
Not stolen.
Our friend at the end of the table will not be joining us for the upcoming school year. So the conversation needs to take place around what we actually want in this. My preference would be to expand it to something more than just a clerk, not to take anything away from your expertise, but incorporating other responsibilities that would be supportive of our committee into one position, I think.
I think we talked about this years ago, and we've been kicking it down
I
the
know.
road forever. I would ask that, I don't have it.
I
I'd
have
to dig
it.
it out.
I have
The
it.
original description, we can pass it around.
No, that I don't have. I thought you were going to say the new person that was hired at City Hall. I have that one.
No, we had,
Okay.
one back about 4 or 5 years ago.
True.
We can pass that around. mark
I
it up,
think we looked
change
at it.
add
Patty
to
was
it,
looking
take
for
away
it.
from it?
Mrs. Sevilla looked, we could not resurrect anything, nor did HR have it, so,
It came from my office.
okay.
I
well, there-
think Mike
there you
did
have
it before. Again, it was years ago, so again, I can send that out to everyone. They can mark it up. Once we approve it.
That's great.
Get it advertised in the next month or so, and go from there. And like I said, it's important to have an impartial individual. I think we've all seen over the years the need for that, so it gives us an opportunity that we can get our own person, part-time person, so.
Agreed.
All right? I'll get that, I'll dig it out. If I can't find it, we'll recreate a new one for you. But I
Yeah.
believe we have it, and I can send it around to the committee and just give some input on it.
I can look as well.
Agreed.
It was way back. Probably the
Yeah.
first year,
I mean, I
probably
was-
2012 area.
2012, that's not way back.
Don't worry, it's in a box if it's not on our computer.
I'm a hoarder too, so,
Good. That's
I have
great.
everything.
We'll be sending Pam down
So-
your house then.
well, yeah, I did talk to Pam about that recently. Yeah, so we can take a look. If for some reason we don't find it, or we do find it and want to spend some time wordsmithing, I'm certainly willing
And even if it's not just
to.
wordsmithing, it's what, I think each of us should give bullet points of what we
Yep.
Agreed.
think the person should be doing.
Agreed. So I mean, I'm willing to take a stab at compiling all that.
I'll send
How
it
we'll
to you
send it
then,
to
and
you.
you take it from there.
Okay, all right,
How's that?
good.
Good? Fantastic.
Perfect.
Thank you. What's next? MHS football preseason overnight.
So you have in your packet the proposal put forth by Mr. Colery on behalf of the athletic team at the high school. I did speak with Mr. Rudzinski today. While it does say this is a change for an overnight as Gardner is no longer participating, I questioned him on that, and that was just copy and paste in error from last year, a few years ago. Essentially, there is no change from the proposal that you approved last year.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Acceptance of donations, partnership for a skilled workforce.
Nope, we have one before that. We have Mr. Bergeron. Request to review
The boss.
policy 3.810.
Mr. Mayor, I just have a question on policy 3.80. The district receives,
Not on my agenda.
It's not on my agenda
Oh.
either.
I have it on mine. It's
I
on
have it right here. 5F, policy 3.810, acceptance
I have
gifts
acceptance
and
of
grants.
Any
donations.
originals?
Yes, I don't have
All
it.
right, we'll talk about it.
What? Suspend the rules?
I don't have 5.
You don't have it?
I don't.
Okay, we'll suspend it.
Okay.
Suspend the rules.
Ron.
apologize. So I just had a clarification question from the school committee. Since arriving, we have not set up any grant account in Munis before the school committee has accepted the grant funds publicly at a meeting. My question to the committee is, for our entitlement grants, which generally come with time deadlines on spending, my question is should it be set up in Munis, and then I bring the entitlement grant to the school committee as an informational item? The only reason I'm pointing out the entitlement grants is that really it's like Chapter 70 funding. It is what you're going to get. It's based on formulas, and the state is just a pass-through from the federal government. All we have to do to get these grants generally is apply for them. We don't have to prove any, extra work. We don't have to do anything like that, and there's no extra expense added to the district for entitlement grants. Specifically, I'm talking about Title I, Title II, Title III, IDEA, Title III, I think that's it, and the kindergarten grant. So my question to the school committee is, can I set the grants up, then bring them back to school committee as an informational item to let you know how much we received and what are the spending areas?
And you're saying we don't have to approve those?
I'm asking, because the policy is
No,
slightly confusing.
By state law, we don't have to approve them, accept them.
This is the first time I've ever done this. And I
Okay.
was just following it because it was an accepted practice, and I just wanted to keep on going with it. The question becomes is, like Title I, for example, is the one to look at. Title I, if we're delayed in accepting it, so let's say we have to wait to the second meeting in September, there's a deadline on when I can spend the money, and if I can't set the grant up till later in September, I've lost a month of payroll that I can't charge to it. And since that grant is a majority of payroll, it becomes troublesome. Then we end up with carryovers into the next year, and we have to spend those carryovers. It just becomes a little bit of a problem.
So my question would be, in the policy, first of all, it refers to sending it to the Finance Subcommittee, which is the whole now. But there are legal references to 2 Mass General laws. So should they be reviewed? Oh, Mike, you can type those in real quick, right?
Mark's not here, I gotta jump on.
I know, well, he doesn't have his book with him, we don't have the book with us. But those 2, and if that referenced what the mayor is referring to as far as, do we have to?
I thought they have to be approved, accepted also, but,
But can they just be accepted as a
oh, absolutely.
informational item as opposed to
So,
because
Section 37A, so 7137A says, school committees of cities and towns and regional school districts may accept grants or gifts for educational purposes from federal, state, county, and municipal governments and agencies thereof. Any amounts so received by a school committee or city or town shall be deposited with the treasurer, we do that, of a such city and held in a separate account, and shall be expended by the school committee without further appropriation, notwithstanding the provisions of sections, there's a bunch of them listed. Any amounts so received by a regional school district committee shall be deposited with the treasurer of such a regional school district. That's not us.
But it says may. The first,
no, it said
what was the first sentence?
yeah may.
Right,
we
so
don't
you
have
have so you always have an option to deny
Right.
a grant.
Oh,
But
may
it doesn't say
accept
they must be accepted.
No.
before
No,
spending.
we don't want it.
We don't want the money.
Agreed,
Yeah.
Right.
but it doesn't state.
It doesn't say you must
I can-
approve of
I
it.
can check.
To publicly accept it.
Right.
If you want to get that clarified,
Yeah.
we want to make it as easy as we can for you, but
Sure.
we want
I
to
appreciate that.
clarify the legality.
Legality of it.
Right, I can get more detail on that.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, if we do have to do it, then we can figure out some way of doing a special meeting for that purpose or something.
Yeah, I've never seen it before, so it's just one of those things. And I'd like to, maybe I can send the policy back to you for some clarification, because we send all gifts to school
Right.
committee, and a lot of them are small gifts, they're like $80, $100.
Yeah.
And what I've been used to in the past is having a limit that says up to so much, that the administration simply accepts the gift, writes a letter, and then puts it in the packet as an informational item. And then if it's over so much money, it comes to you guys for a vote. And so there's a couple little things like that I'd like to clarify.
Oh, so have you done that in other districts that way?
Yep.
I see, okay.
So it must be legal,
Well, on the gifting is what he's
the gifting,
Yeah,
On the grants, it's
different.
slightly different.
Any other questions?
so that's tabled.
Motion made and seconded to table. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. And Partnership for a Skilled Workforce, STEM, $27,815.
Woo! Sorry.
Is it
Move to approve with gratitude.
Motion made and seconded to approve with gratitude.
Certainly.
Question?
Sorry, I'm just curious, what's happening with this money?
This is from the grant, from the piece that Partnerships for Skilled Workforce has to support us. But in order to post for the position, they can't pay for it, we do, right? So it comes through a donation from them.
Okay,
To fund the career specialist.
okay.
But that's
That's
a
what I
great
thought,
question.
and that's where
That's what
we
it
had
says.
certain things that we needed to have in place before they would do that.
That's right.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure my mind was following things.
No.
Okay, thank you.
All set? On the motion to approve, or accept with gratitude, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. One last thing, before we adjourn, part of that modernization bill that was just signed by the governor, I think included a section where the school committee could vote to allow one signature on warrants.
Woo!
But
Vanjie will like
we
that.
may want to just verify when if that's the case for all warrants and the effective date on that, I was just scanning through a bunch of the stuff that
We
thought
do
might
it for
pertain.
payroll.
The effective date, I believe, is in mid-November, 90 days after the governor.
Different things had different dates, but I didn't get into the detail of stuff, so we may want to check that and save a bunch of emails down the road. Other than that,
We have members forum? No?
no.
No members
Not on
forum?
a special meeting.
Ah, yes, okay. Move to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you very much.